Welcome back everyone to another Even Heroes Die Devlog. I promised that I would be adding more polish and juice to the game, and surprisingly one of the biggest improvements I've made is adding sound effects. It's been a minute since the last devlog, and the main reason for that is that sound effects are actually kind of a pain. You may be thinking, oh, it's easy to add sound, there's tons of cheap or free sound effect packs online, and that's true. But you then need to listen through all of those sounds and pick the ones that fit. And before you know it, you're on freesounds.com at 3 a.m. listening to the sound of people breathing. Nah, that's not right. Oh yeah, that's the one. For a couple sounds, I even just gave up and said, you know what? I have a microphone, let me just make the sound myself. They came out pretty good too. I bet you wouldn't even be able to tell which ones are me. Boo! At this point, I've painstakingly added an effect for just about every single action. There were way more than you'd think. I definitely wouldn't recommend waiting this long to add sound to your game. So let's go ahead and look at some gameplay with sound effects. By now I hope you've noticed that I've been trying to add some more subtle details and overall squishiness to the game. I think a lot of game juice can be broken down into two things: squishiness and dust. For dust, basically you can just pretend the game is taking place in my grandma's attic. And that's no insult to her. She's dead, I imagine it's pretty dusty by now. So we have dust when you land, when you roll, when you do a wall slide, even a little dust fart when you jump. I thought about adding different particle effects based on what area you're in, but what am I, Picasso? I'm trying to make a game here, you guys are getting dust for now. My goal with all this is to make small but impactful changes. Anything that'll take more than one sitting to do, I really need to think hard about. Now for squishiness, the player squishes when he jumps, when he lands, enemies squish a little when they get whacked. It's really satisfying. Or how this chest squishes when you open it. My favorite, though, is a little squish of this UI prompt when you talk to someone. Whoop! I tried to simplify the UI a little bit, too. I made the hearts a little less busy, while also standing out more. The icons for keys and money are also as small as possible. Combat also got some fine-tuning. The slash felt a little slow with a sound effect added, so I removed a frame and made it a quicker swipe. I also cleaned up some of the hitboxes to make them a little bit more fair, and I added a little death effect when you kill an enemy. It's not too flashy so as to be distracting, but just enough to make you feel like you accomplished something. Just like how all murder should feel. The biggest change is how enemies react to being hit. Before, they would enter a hurt state and then return to their idle state after a short pause. This basically meant that you could stun lock any enemy if you were aggressive enough. Now they'll still suffer knockback, but their attacks won't be interrupted, meaning you need to pay a little bit more attention to what the enemy is doing. If you just attack blindly, you're gonna get punished. Adding sound effects gave me a good opportunity to improve on some enemy patterns too. A few enemies have better telegraphs for their attacks now. Take this little guy. It's much easier to predict when he's gonna shoot. Or the fire mage. This little charging effect and the sound made a world of difference. Now I want to show you a little bit of new content I've been working on. If you follow my Twitter, you'll probably recognize a lot of this. I wasn't too happy with my snowy mountain background, so here's the revised version, which I'm pretty proud of. I think the blues look much nicer, and the player doesn't blend into the background anymore, and it has more detail while also somehow being less distracting. You'll find icicles hanging from the ceiling, and if you pass under them, they'll shake and fall towards you. There are also slippery floors. Both of these can be melted with your fire element. I also designed some new enemies to fill in the area. These guys kind of remind me of Gorons from the Zelda series. They roll up into a ball and barrel towards you. You've also got these really cool snowmen with a mean throwing arm. They'll lob snowballs at you with surprising accuracy. Had to break out the old high school projectile motion equations for this one. Had a little bit of trouble remembering them, but I did remember making pancakes on a hot plate in physics class, so you can't say I didn't learn anything important. There's an ice blob guy. He'll bounce around and make these icy spikes that make it hard for you to maneuver. Upon death, he'll also blow up in an icy explosion that can freeze you and nearby enemies. This big cloud dude will slowly float toward you. He blows you, okay? Jeez, grow up. This guy, he just kind of glides back and forth, but when you whack him, he'll start sliding around like crazy, freezing the ground as he goes. The fire element makes him much easier to deal with. That's all I've got for today. As you can hopefully see, I've been pretty busy adding as much polish as I can. I'm trying to build up towards a new demo that can show just how far the game has come this year. My next focus is on fine-tuning the curse and side effect mechanics to feel a little less shoehorned in, and then to hopefully release another demo that can give you a meaningful choice between tackling the forest area or the snowy area first. I think that open-endedness of it is a really big part of the game that you don't really get to see in the first demo. Let me know what you think of the game's progress so far. Is there anything new you'd like to see? You can follow the game's progress more closely on Twitter, and as always, if you like this video or think the game seems cool, please like, subscribe, share it with your friends, or anyone who might find it interesting. That would be a massive help. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.